This NASCAR Chicago Underdog Picks 2024 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
On the cusp of the other side of the 4th of July, hopefully everybody had a fantastic 4th of July holiday. And for those of you up in Canada, hope you just enjoyed your Thursday. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, closing out the week on a high note as we wrap up Chicago Street Circuit weekend. Cody, I'm excited for this. Again, like I said, I think weather's about to hold up for us. Fingers crossed. I'm not seeing anything in the news that's making me see otherwise, but man, I just want this to hurry up and get over with because I want to be able to watch this race.
Yeah, just is it sunny right now? Can we just get these races in before we have issues? Now you're making me look up the weather report, Rod, because I am curious. I've also not seen anything. Oh, we're looking. Whew, I mean, I don't ever want to give the weather guys too much credit, but looking pretty solid for both days of racing. That is good news because, again, like we've kind of talked about this week, this is going to give us a chance to actually see, what this race can be and how this type of circuit can work in both of these series. So going to be exciting, going to be fun. Underdog picks, baby. Full episode of just underdog picks. I sort of don't mind doing it this way at all, Rod. It's kind of exciting way to get our underdog plays in on a Friday evening.
Yeah, I actually don't mind this at all, too. I mean, I know we usually lump it in with the DFS edition of the show, but to kind of have that DFS episode and then the underdog episode, I think we might have stumbled on a good formula that we may have to carry out into the future if we have these two series again. Maybe not, spending one on each and just doing an underdog and a DFS edition.
Yeah, let us know how you like it and what you think, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're always open to you guys' suggestions too, which is what we love. If you like the underdog specific episode better and the DFS episode separate, then let us know. And on weekends where there's not all three series, which there are going to be a few more coming up, right? The truck schedule's a whole lot lighter than the other two. So yeah, we're going to have a few more weeks where it's just the two series coming up.
Yeah, that's no joke, Rob. They're trucks show up every once in a while.
Just they're on their own F1 schedule. As a matter of fact, they're on their own IndyCar schedule. In fact,
looks like a combination of both.
Yeah. Well, we'll just take a couple weeks off here and there. We'll come when we want to be on TV, and then we'll wave and we'll go back into where we're at. So, yeah, definitely underdog episode today. We're going to give you our favorite picks from both the Xfinity and the Cup Series race. This time we'll do it the right way. We'll do Xfinity first, and then we'll go Cup after that. But before we do that, let's tell you right now about the latest episode of SGP Stories. It's out right now on Patreon, and the guys do a forensic file style deep dive on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle accident that cost him his job. And of course, plus make sure to check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast, as Terrell and Scott have started out red hot with their locks over there on the WNBA podcast. I will figure out how to speak today. That's the goal for Friday. I don't know that I've ever stumbled on words as much as I did through that last one, but we'll get.
Well, we finally got you home, Rod. So one thing at a time.
I swear. And look I was barely even home for 24 hours, and I was already at a baseball game. I was already having fun on the 4th of July. My first 24 hours home were very eventful, and now we're working on the back end of that. I'm still trying to get acclimated to, first of all, West Coast time, and thank God for West Coast weather, by the way. I know it's 106,000 degrees out here right now, but 110 here, if it was 110 out there, I'd die. There was so much humidity out there, and I was getting bug bitten and all. I'm just glad I'm back in California. Let's just put it that way.
Well, we're glad to have you home as well, Rod.
Indeed. All right. So it is, of course, the Chicago Street Circuit. Cody, is there any last minute news that we have forgot to tell people over the course of the last couple of days? I don't see any, but.
Yeah, I don't, I sort of been out of the loop today, so I'm kind of just browsing through some stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything crazy. Ricky Stenhouse had a baby yesterday, I believe it was. So
that's the Stenhouse bump. Everybody's talking about that right now.
Maybe check into the top 10 there. Congrats to the Stenhouses on Stetson, Steele, Stenhouse, Triple S. So that's a way to go there. But yeah, congratulations to them on a healthy and happy baby and all that. So yeah, but other than that, the Haley Deegan thing has kind of seemingly progressed. She's removed all mention of AM racing from her social medias. Pockrass asked the team who's going to be in the car next week, and they said TBD. So it doesn't sound to me like she'll be coming back, I wouldn't think. I would imagine they kind of piece apart that car together. Maybe this is an opportunity to call Brett Moffitt and get him back in that car, see if he could do something with it. But yeah, I think that we might have seen the end of Deegan, at least in that 15 ride for now. I'm sure she'll land somewhere else. Be interesting to follow that. But that saga kind of continues, but nothing officially official yet.
Hey, listen, Drew McIntyre quit in the middle of Monday Night Raw a few weeks ago and deactivated all of his social accounts. So we know how this goes. 8 minutes and 29 seconds in for those of you who take.
You could have went with Antonio Brown or actual relevant reference, somebody quitting in the middle of something, but we go to WWE, Rod.
Right off the bat. I have a specific.
It's Friday. Get it out of the way. Hope took the under. Moving on.
I have a specific demographic I have to cater to. All right, Cody. It's just that's the way this is. All right. All right. So of course, like we said, it is the Chicago Street Circuit. The Xfinity folks are set to go 50 laps around this 2.140 mile street course for 107 miles. The Cup guys are going 75 laps around this 2.2 mile road course for 160 miles street course again. 165 mile race around the streets of Chicago, man. This is going to be a fantastic event. And of course, we are bringing you our underdog picks, which means that we are giving you they give you the projected finishing position, right? And you are supposed to choose better than or worse than, which means a finish above the number or below the number, right? Better than means whatever the 10th place or better, and then 10th place or worse, depending on the 10th place finish. So on and so forth. We're going to give you 3 from each of the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. One of the more exciting opportunities that we have. And you can play 8 of these 12 that we're going to give you. Mix and match to put your favorite ones forward. We don't really normally give you this many of them, so this is a treat.
Yeah, it's I love it, Rod. It's exciting.
It is. Are you ready to get into it, Cody? I think we're ready to get into it.
I'm ready to go, Rod. I got to start the day off with my favorite one of the entire slate on Underdog. We're starting in the Xfinity Series race, of course. Joseph Logano, 8.5. Rod, what are we doing here? I understand that he's a Cup Series guy. I get it. This is an easily worse than for me. I talked about him on the betting episode earlier this week. When I was talking about Sam Mayer finishing over him. But first of all, this is a loaded field for Xfinity. Like it truly is. You've got SVG in this race, Kyle Larson in this race, Ty Gibbs in this race, John Hunter Nemechek race, although that's a little bit lighter than it would be on a normal week, right? So that's 4 pretty solid Cup guys right there. Now, Joey Logano, of course, a solid Cup guy as well, but he's also in the 15 car that we've not seen a lot out of. We know that this was kind of a short turnaround type of thing. Like basically, they called him last week, said, "Hey, we don't have a driver. You want to get in?" He's like, "Sure, I'll take some extra track time." The way that I think that he's going to be kind of approaching this is it's an opportunity to give them some feedback on their car, which they're looking for, obviously, and as well to get laps in practice for Joey Logano. I don't think he's going to be in contention to win this race. I think he's going to be running that well, and I just think that there's enough between these other Cup Series guys in here. You got AJ Allmendinger in here. You've got the Justin Allgaiers of the world, the Sam Mayers of the world, all of these other drivers. I don't think Joey Logano's even in the top 10, Rod. I definitely don't think he's going to be in the top 8.5 at the end of the day. So Joey Logano, worse than 8.5. This is definitely going to be my most used underdog play this weekend because, this projection is just way too low, I think.
I think if it's 10.5 or maybe 11.5, I know, but that's
11.5 is probably where I would be like,
yeah.
Okay, maybe you're going to make me think about it. So maybe they will slide that projection up. So get in on it now, I guess. But I don't see him getting in the top 8. There's so many other drivers I would much rather have than Joey here. And I don't even know if it would be much different if it was an oval because I don't think that car has a ton of speed, but the Joey Logano difference might get it there, not on the street course, right? And he's an okay road course driver, right? He's kind of mid-pack in the Cup Series. He's got some decent finishes, but nothing too crazy. I don't expect. I know Joey's good at new things. I get that, but it's not technically a new thing anymore. So
unless you want to count a new ride, and he's driving an odd number, which is definitely weird because obviously he's an even number. Even years are his thing. So yeah, we'll just I'll back
throwing
you
off all the juju, Rod.
Yeah, this is why I'll back you on this one. There's a lot going against him in this opportunity. Top 10, possibly top 15, sure, but I don't know. Top 8 is going to be in the cards for Joey either. All right, somebody that I do think actually will finish inside of the top 10. That's Chandler Smith. His projection is set now at 11.5. I'm going to go ahead and take the better than in this instance. I mean, he did it last year. I know last year's race counts for almost nothing. In fact,
especially the Xfinity race.
Yeah, range shorten, all this stuff. We only get 25 laps into this thing. But look, Chandler Smith is a talented enough driver that I think if you would have let this go all the way and play out, I think even in that 16 car, that College car, he'd have been there at the end of it as well. He was inside the top 10 at the end of both of the stages that they ran. So it wasn't as if he was too far outside of it. In fact, he started 16th and moved his way up into the top 10. So there was movement from Chandler Smith, even in that 16 car. You just look back at what he's done so far this season. He's averaging a finish of 9.8 per race. That's the average finish. He's starting inside the top 8 and finishing right around that 10th spot, which means that, again, on average, he is inside of the top 10 each and every week, no matter what kind of track style. It's like, case in point, back at the Road America, or back at COTA rather, he finished 8th place after starting 4th. You look at what he did at Portland, crashed out of that one. That was a tough one, but he did start 11th in that one, just outside of the top 10. Sonoma started 11th, finished 7th place, which by my calculations is better than 11.5. We know this 81 car is fast. We've seen this 81 car be fast before. In 11 road course starts, just about half of them, he's had 5 top 10 finishes in 11 road course starts in his career. So he is a perennial top 10 runner on these road courses. He's got the speed to do it. He's in, as Cody likes to say, week after week, the best equipment that's out there right now in the Joe Gibbs racing world. So there's no reason to think that Chandler Smith won't be fighting for a top 5 spot, which is why I think this 11.5 is pretty disrespectful. I mean, two spots. Look, he is either world's greatest road course driver, no, but a top 10 driver nonetheless. He's done it almost every single time he's been out this season. I don't know why this can't happen again. When he's finishing inside the top 10, 64.7% of the time that he's been on the track. That's a better than average finishing average right there. So, like I said, Chandler Smith, I think he's got a top 10 run in him. I know you said there's a lot of cars out there that can catch or that can be a top 10 car. But, I mean, once you get past 6, now you're starting to make a little bit of a case for other folks. And I think Chandler Smith is one of those guys that you can make a case for. So, give me Chandler Smith better than 11.5.
Chandler and I are currently on a break, Rod, so I will reserve all comments.
Does he know
now? He does now. I just don't know, Rod. I like it. I think I do like it, but I'm kind of indifferent on this. I don't know. He's burned me a lot lately, and it still hurts. But 11.5, I think, probably is too low of or too high of a number, I guess, as far as that goes.
Look, when you stick your hand in the toaster and you get burnt, you're going to stop sticking your hand in the toaster eventually. So unless you really want that English muffin, in which case you'll continue to
try to get my Pop-Tart out, Rod.
All I want is a toasted brown cinnamon Pop-Tart. Is that too much?
Those are the best. Those are the best.
I just had one this morning, but it wasn't toasted. So because I didn't want to.
They're fine cold.
100%.
Yeah, that's like the military breakfast right there, cold Pop-Tarts.
And a Monster energy drink.
Yep.
That's it right there. All right, we'll give you the rest of our picks, but let's tell you first formally about Underdog Fantasy, and I'll push the right button this time. This is why I've been away for too long. Pick 8 is now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog's going to automatically double flex your entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks, which won't be the Chandler Smith one, and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. And the best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries. Can't wait to make a pick 8. We got plenty of them to choose from. So keep listening as we continue to go down our Underdog picks. So don't miss your chance to try it out before it is gone. Sign up now with our promo code RACESGPN to claim that special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code RACESGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions, pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week, compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. You can sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th, and you can use a proxy to play from anywhere else in the world. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com. It's going to save you $50 with promo code SGP. You don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? Well, shame on you, but do it now. You still have time. Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out there, hang with Ryan and Sean, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, August 22nd through August the 24th. If there was a perfect time and or date for us to actually finally meet in person, I feel like that is a fantastic time to aim for. So maybe you and I, Cody, should start booking our trips to Vegas.
I think you almost have me talked into it, Rod. I'll get my wife on here next, and we'll see if you can work your magic with her, because that could be the biggest hurdle in all of this. But
and that's the crazy part about it. I could sell anything to anybody when I don't try. When I try, I'm the worst salesperson in the world.
Well, you were great on the Xfinity show this week, Rod. You weren't even here. You sold me on the John Hunter Nemechek top 5.
But that's why I couldn't succeed in radio sales. I was like Tommy Boy trying to sell something and here's my perfect little sale, and it crushes. That's what I'm like. But all right, we'll spare them my inability to sell. Let's continue to give them Underdog picks while they're here.
All right, Rod, I'll try to sell them on this next one, and it's my guy Sam Mayer. You like that smooth transition? I do work in sales for a living, so
I know you do.
I'm somewhat decent at the selling part of things. But I'm going to sell you this beautiful Sam Mayer point at 6.5. Better than Rod. Some would call him, and some might be me, but that's okay. AJ Allmendinger Jr. here in Sam Mayer. road course, like he's so good at the road courses, Rod. I don't understand why we're kind of sleeping on this guy at road courses yet again. We talked about it in the betting episode, or I talked about it in the betting episode. You didn't talk about shit. I talked about it in the betting episode how he is again just being undervalued, and I don't understand it. Third place at Sonoma last time out. At Portland, 28th place finish, but third place with 2 laps to go when he hit that barrier, blew the tire, and ruined his day. 9th place at Coda, so I get that's a little worse than 6.5, but he was up there and in the mix throughout the day. But you go back to last year, Rod, third place at Portland. He won the Roval. He won Watkins Glen. He won Road America. Second place at the Indy Road Course race. 18th at Chicago. Nobody fucking cares, Rod, because it doesn't matter. Like, what do we get? Like 4 green flag laps in the Xfinity race. They called it before halfway, which they'd never done in the modern era. Like, it doesn't even matter what happened last year in this race. 7th place at Coda. Very, very consistent road course racer. That's going to translate to this weekend. Rumors are starting to bubble. Sam Mayer to front row in their third charter, Rod. Could that be the case? Come out and win Chicago Street Course and might get that deal done even faster, but doesn't have to win this one to beat this fantasy projection for you. Sam Mayer better than 6.5. I know it's a loaded field. I get that. You got Gibbs, you got Larson, you got SVG, you got Allmendinger. Those guys are all going to be good, but how many times do we see the 4 best guys not be the top 4 finishers at the end of the day? Sam Mayer's going to find his way. He doesn't have to find his way to the top 4. Those guys can finish top 4. He just has to be in the top 6. Give me Sam Mayer better than 6.5.
You already know how I feel about Ty Gibbs, which has got me the one show suspension. So I'm not going to go back to the well and tell you how I feel about him. However, I do feel as if Sam Mayer could usurp one of those drivers that you said. Wow. I won't say who it is, but I will also say that.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you guys for a recap show on Sunday night when Rod is once again suspended from the show.
Is this being sent up to the steward's desk for
it's skipped the steward. It's skipped the stewards. It's already been stamped. 1 race suspension.
Oh man, again. All right, fine. I'll take a grid penalty for the next show. I'll have to start 10 minutes after you. So you'll start the show and then 10 minutes later I'll join. Wouldn't that be fantastic? That
would be like, and then like we're just like trying to talk over each other because you're trying to catch up on the amount of bets that I've given out. It's a decent idea for the off season at least.
A 10-minute suspension. I'll take that. All right.
Here comes Rod out of the penalty box.
I had to start from the
That's
pit.
what we got to do, though, is like we need to find a way to like put you on the screen, but like make you up in the corner, just like really small with like an X through you. And it's like Rod's up there just waiting to get out of the penalty box.
Banging on the glass, like, get me out. That would be fun. Well, yeah, that's something to test out during the off season. All right. I'm going to turn my attention to the 48 car for my next pick. Parker Kligerman, his finishing position is set at 9.5. I'm taking the better than on this one. The 48 car just does not get enough love, in my opinion, most of the time. I know that I don't necessarily show him a lot of. I know Cody does. Cody loves to give him some Parker Kligerman bets, and I love that too. But I just don't. I can't find ways to pull the trigger. But this is a good way to do it. Chicago Street Course he finished 9th, but of course we're throwing all of that stuff out. Although I will say he did start 10th, he gained a position, so go Parker Kligerman. But overall in road courses and left and right turns this season, not bad for Parker Kligerman. Started 12th at Coda, finished 5th. Go to Portland, an 8th place finish at Portland, 10th at Sonoma. Now I know the 10th place at Sonoma doesn't necessarily back up this 9.5, but he did move up a few spots. He started 14th and ended up finishing 10th in that race. Parker Kligerman, if you look at his entire road course record, he's made 18 road course starts in the Xfinity Series. 13 of those have been top 10 finishes. All but 5 have been top 10 finishes. 5 of them have been top 5 finishes. So when you look at that entire breadth of work for Parker Kligerman, he's good at left and right turns. He's good. He puts his car where it needs to be. He usually starts somewhere in the front, right? He's actually average start of 14 and then an average finish of 10.5 overall on road course races. So, again, he's starting in the 15 range and finishing in the top 10. He's not barn burning, but you don't need him to barn burn in this. You just need him to finish one place better than his average, which he's done a couple of times already this season on left and right turn tracks. So it would not surprise me at all to see Parker Kligerman all he's got to do, I mean, look, a 9th place finish. I feel like that's about where he's going to end up finishing after you take out all of the Larsons and the SVGs and the Allmendingers of the world, the Mayors of the world, right? The Chandler Smiths of the world. I think 9th place finish for Parker Kligerman is right about where his wheelhouse is going to be. I think Underdog nailed this. And I think it's going to be better than 9.5 for young Parker Kligerman.
Yeah, I like it. Another reason Joey Logano is not going to be up inside that top 9.5 because Parker Kligerman's going to beat him, Rod. You know how much I love Parker Kligerman, especially when it comes to super speedways, especially when it comes to road courses, street course. In this case, I think a street course seemingly maybe he seems like the type of guy that would benefit even more from it being a street course over a road course. So love Kligerman this week. Didn't have a way to talk about him really on the betting episode that I could find that I loved, but getting in on him in fantasy, this is a great way to do it. So glad you did.
Yep. That's why I love the millions of different ways you can get involved in racing. It's just,
Yeah.
what a world.
Like, again, if we had a top 10 bet on him, although the odds might not be good enough, you would like to take that. But we don't have that option, but we can come over to Underdog. We can play fantasy on it. You know, we can go to DraftKings, play DFS if that's what we're doing, and use those guys that we don't get to use as much over there. So you love it.
What a wonderful world. Speaking of things you need to get down on right now, go get down on Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you got to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable as if it wasn't already. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains, those big, fat, juicy, beautiful brains of MIT data scientists and quants, with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm projections have been red hot for WNBA and golf, so go claim that 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
All right, Rod. Next up for me, going to Old Reliable. Give me Austin Hill under 9 or better than 9.5. Look, it's Austin Hill. It's Old Reliable. It's been a little bit more up and down the latter half of this season so far, but another guy that's just underrated in the Xfinity Series on the road courses. 5th place at Sonoma. Very strong run there. 2nd place at Coda earlier this season. Portland was 11th, so, just missed this one a little bit. Going to happen sometimes, but strong runs for him there. Go back to the Roval last year. 9th place. Boom. Better than it. Hits it again. 14th at Watkins Glen, but 4th at the Indy Road Course, 3rd at Road America. He was 5th here for what it's worth, which it's not really worth anything, but we'll toss it out there anyways. Austin Hill is just a consistent top 5 guy for the most part. Again, it's been a little bit up and down here lately, but he's very consistently just stays out of trouble, keeps it clean, finds his way into the top 10, top 9 in this case to get you better than 9.5. Yet another reason Joey Logano will not be in the top 8.5 because Austin Hill is going to be one of those guys that's up there. Give me Austin Hill better than 9.5.
Okay, I will. If this was any higher, I probably would cringe a little because with Austin Hill, yes, he's old reliable, but he can also be old. Man, we relied on him, and guess what? He didn't come through for this time. So it's frustrating. But yeah, I like 8.5. It's usually, or even 9.5. That's a good number for him. I do think that's a fair number. So yeah, I like that as well. All right, listen. I was not going to do this episode, but I saw this number. I saw this finishing position, and I was like, there's no way on God's green earth I can't mention AJ Allmendinger. His finishing position set at 5.5. All right.
This is going to go one way or the other, Rod. I think of all of the betting shows that I listen to throughout the week, and I like to listen to a lot of them. We got a lot of good friends in the industry and stuff. Like, everyone hates AJ this weekend in both of these races, and we're very high on him in both races. So either we're going to look like geniuses or we're going to be that one show that's like, what a bunch of idiots over there.
Which is fine. I mean, listen, I have thumped my chest so hard about AJ Allmendinger that it's bruised. I will spare you me lifting up my shirt to show you because nobody wants to see that. We're going to try to keep this as PG as we possibly can, except for the
very PG show we run here.
I'm just saying, like, it's PG. It's what is it? Or TV 14 or something like that. But AJ Allmendinger, better than 5.5. If I've said it once over the course of the week, I've said it a million times. You want to hate AJ Allmendinger. You do. And that's fine. I mean, I know that he's fiery. I know that he's passionate. I know that he sometimes gets on people's nerves because he can be a little over the top. But when it comes to road courses for AJ Allmendinger, 31 career starts, 27 top 10 finishes, but no, wait, 24 top 5 finishes, 11 wins. Left and right turns are this guy's thing. Like, I know that we say he's good on ovals now too, and that he's been getting better in that arena as well. But when it comes to just turning left and right, when it comes to being on courses that are not the traditional oval, in the Xfinity Series especially, it's AJ Allmendinger's world. What is it about him that makes you just say, ugh, I don't like it? Was it the fact that he finished 17th at Sonoma after starting 4th? Is that something that turns you off? He started 10th in Portland. He finished 4th. That was good. In Austin, he had a 10th place finish. Is it because he's not winning all these races? Is that why you're starting counting him out? I mean, is that really the mentality? It's like, well, he's not winning or he's not finishing in the top 5. He must suck. No, he's AJ Allmendinger. Like, what? Get off his nuts. Like, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to at least finish inside of the top 5, which is what you're hoping for in this case, right? I mean, the numbers just speak for themselves when it's come to AJ Allmendinger. You can hate all you want, but when you've only finished outside of the top 5 7 times in 31 attempts, you're good, and you're going to be good. So I will hear no more AJ Allmendinger slander. Give me better than 5.5. I'll die on that cross.
I have nothing to add. Obviously, I've talked him up this week. I like him. I wish the number was a little bit more disrespectful, like we've been getting from other people. But I think he's going to be good this weekend. So I like it. It's AJ Allmendinger. He's going to be there because he's the greatest road course racer we've had in the Xfinity Series history. And that can translate over here. Look, if you think SVG is going to come out and dominate this race, like that seems to be what everyone thinks specifically about the Xfinity Series race. They're in the same equipment. And yes, SVG has a lot more street course experience than AJ, but AJ's still pretty fucking good at this type of stuff. And this is right up his wheelhouse. I think he's going to be there in the mix as well. And he doesn't have to beat SVG for this. He just has to finish in the top 5. So, I'll agree with you on this one, Rod.
And listen, and if for anybody that wants to be like, well, you were so wrong at the end of this, that's fine. I don't even care about being wrong about this because you tell me. I want you to build the case other than I don't feel like this is going to be an AJ Allmendinger week. That doesn't speak to it. The numbers scream that this needs to be an AJ Allmendinger week. So if you're coming at me with like, oh, he finished 17th at Sonoma, and that means that he's not going to finish inside of the top 5 in this race. No, that's one race out of 31. Get out of here with your weak game.
You tell him, Rod. All right. On that note, should we shift over to the Cup Series, Rod?
Yeah, before I stop making any friends. I'm losing friends right now as we count.
Speaking of loaded fields, how about this Cup Series field? 40 cars. They will all make the race, but that is the maximum number, so you love to see it. I did not intentionally do this, Rod, and maybe you didn't either. Maybe we definitely didn't intend to do it together, but 5 of our 6 picks here are all worse than. So in a way, like I kind of mentioned on the betting episode, treating this a little bit like a super speedway race. Like when you go to super speedways, you're generally just going to take worse than on everybody that you're going to put in these fantasy lineups because, well, things can go wrong, and we know that's how it goes. But specifically, I found 3 guys that I really am just kind of against this week, and that starts with Martin Truex Jr. This is at 8.5. Martin Truex Jr. is a very, very good road course racer, Rod. And we've seen it, right? At one point, it was Truex and Elliott, every single road course. One of the 2 would win. We went on a stretch there where one of the 2 won for so many in a row. But here's the thing, now that we've expanded the road courses and all of this, Martin Truex Jr. extremely good at Sonoma. We know that, right? And we can count on him there. Pretty good at Watkins Glen at times. But outside of that, it's real hit and miss for him. 27th at Sonoma earlier this year. Now, he did lead, and was running well, ran out of fuel, obviously, coming back to the line and lost a bunch of spots. So not going to completely hold that against him. He was 10th at Coda, so a respectable finish, but that's not better than 8.5. He was 20th at the Roval. You go back to Watkins Glen, that's 6th, but again, that's one of the places he's been going to for 20 years. So Not going to count that as much. Indy Road Course, he was 7th. That's fine. He won at Sonoma. We hit a big bet there, but that's Sonoma. But before that, 17th at Coda, 17th at the Roval, 23rd at Watkins Glen, 21st at the Indy Road Course, 13th at Road America, 26th at Sonoma, 7th at Coda, okay, 29th at the Roval, 15th at the Indy Road Course. Like, he's not got a lot of finishes. But I mean, so I just read you off his finishes in, what was that? How far did I go? 15 races. His number's at 8.5. He's only got four times in the last 15 road course races where he's finished better than this. Where did he finish last year at Chicago? I don't even know where he finished, right? Because it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to look. Don't care. But he's a good road course racer. Yes, I'll give you that. But he's also retiring. This is kind of a gimmicky race, right? What does he fucking care about Chicago? Yeah, he's sitting pretty good in the points. I don't think he needs to worry too much, although all these people that have locked themselves in with wins, maybe he'll have to worry eventually because I don't think he has a win this season. But he's sitting good in the points scenario. Like, he's not giving – I'm not saying he's not giving his all this week, but we already know the guy doesn't spend a lot of time in the sim or prepping for these races. He just kind of shows up and he's super talented. Makes you wonder how good he could have been if he actually put more effort into it. But that's another story for another day. I'm not saying he's checked out on the season because I think you're going to get the best of Truex in a lot of races coming up. But I don't think this is the one he's got circled on his calendar of we're going to go finish top 8 in this one, Rod. I just don't see this happening for Truex. So give me the worse than 8.5. And then on top of that, I think there is the super speedway possibilities in this race of the late race caution and all. If we get a late race caution, Rod, there are going to be so many cautions and so many wrecks that go into this. That's going to completely change everything like we had last week. That helps the case on anyone's worse than, just in a general sense, because you have Joey Logano winning last week after running 16th in the last, with 2 laps to go or whatever the case was. But yeah, give me Martin Truex under or worse than 8.5.
It's like one of those guys that you've known in the military that they know that they're about to either get out and or retire. And those physical fitness tests over the last 6 or 7 months start to look like just what can I do to not to do the bare minimum of what I need to do and then get the hell out of here.
The things that I got myself out of in the last 2 months of my time in the military, I would just be like, if it was something I didn't want to do, I'd be like, oh yeah, I got to go to this appointment or I got to go do this. And the thing about, little side note on the military, is the people that lead you in the military, well, they've never got out of the military, so they don't know the process. So they're just like, oh, well, if that's what you got to do, like,
my
go
counseling
do it. And then it's like,
I gotta do my counseling. Oh, I gotta go turn in this equipment. Oh, you know what? I had forgotten that I didn't turn in my canteen cover, and I have to go.
I wonder if anybody ever noticed that, like, the morning workouts or whatever, where we would do like play football or something fun, I was always there. And if we were going on a run, yeah, I had an appointment or something else to do, because that's exactly what I think Truex is doing this week. Like, yeah, I don't really feel like participating in this one. I'll show up because I have to, but you're not going to get a ton of effort from me.
Yeah, I've got a briefing I've got to attend. My brother checking in saying I'm all fired up. It's Friday, Nick. I think I'm all fired up for the weekend. And of course, because I'm home, but that's another story. All right. Speaking of worse than, I'm going to continue down that train. I'm going to go Daniel Suarez. How 10.5 is his projected finishing position. There's no way Daniel Suarez is going to finish inside of the top 10 in this particular course. I mean, we're throwing out the 27th place finish from last year on this course. That's fine. He did start 5th, which is, of course, we also know was rain aided as well. But let's just take a look back. If you're telling me that you think Daniel Suarez is going to be a top 10 car and trying to build a case on that this week, then you're crazier than somebody who's telling me that not to build a case for AJ Allmendinger to be a top 5 car in the Xfinity Series. Look back at what Daniel Suarez has done this season. 14th place in Sonoma, but Roddy started in 7th. Yeah, I don't care. He finished in 14th. Austin finished 31st in Coda. Unbelievable bad day there as well. So we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything out of him in those races. And then, but he did finish. He won Sonoma in 2022. Yeah, he did. But let me tell you about the last 7 starts rather for Daniel Suarez. 8 starts even for Daniel Suarez on left and right turn courses. 14th at Sonoma, I already told you about. 31st at Coda, I told you about already. 33rd at the Roval, 22nd at Watkins Glen. Holy hell, he finished 3rd at Indy Road Course. Let's give him a top 10 finish. Hold on. 22nd at Sonoma, 27th at Coda, 36th at the Roval, 5th at Watkins Glen. Crown him the road course king. But wait, 28th place at Indy Roval or Indy Road Course the week before, the race before that. There are a lot more finishes that have not even been top 5 finishes, that not even top 10 finishes, not even top 15 finishes for Daniel Suarez. So I don't know how you could build a case for him to be a top 10 car this week. Therefore, these 10.5 that he is at is far too high. So give me the worse than Daniel Suarez 10.5.
Yeah, no arguments here. I was glad you took this one, because if you didn't, I was going to take it, because I don't understand quite why he's up there so high. I know he won Sonoma that one time, Rod. That's really cool. But yeah, I just to have faith in Daniel Suarez, oof, that's you're really going out on a limb if you've got much faith in the guy right now. So somebody I don't have a lot of faith in, Rod, and this might come a little bit of a surprise, William Byron. I'm going to take him worse than 9.5. This is a very big number for a guy like William Byron, a guy that's already got 3 wins this season, opened up the season in pretty solid fashion, right? He had that stretch of 5 races in a row where he finished inside the top 7 in all 5 of them, won 2 of them, a couple of podium finishes, like this great run, but things have not gone well for William Byron as of late. I mentioned this before. I don't know if it's Chad Knaus's, getting in somebody's ear of, let's test some stuff, let's figure some stuff out for the playoffs that he's well known to have done for years with Jimmy Johnson. Maybe that's what's happening with William Byron. If this run continues and his odds drop for the championship, we're going to have to consider getting invested, because that's that's going to be what you're going to want to do. But until I start seeing something different from him, I am on the fade William Byron train. 3 of the last 9 races, he has finished better than this number. Those were at Iowa, Charlotte, and Darlington. But it's been rough for him. 19th at Nashville last week, 26th at New Hampshire, even at Sonoma 30th, 15th at Gateway, 23rd at Kansas, 33rd at Dover. It has been a rough season for William Byron. On the road course side of things, Byron's really fucking good, has a lot of good results. He won earlier this season at Coda and has had some good races. This is purely things have not been going well for this 24 team. I'm a big time believer in momentum. And so I think that I'm going to continue to ride against William Byron until that changes. We've done this before, Rye, with Denny Hamlin, most specifically last season. We made a lot of money fading Denny Hamlin in the first half of last season when he was on just a horrible tear until he flipped it around. When he flipped it around, started picking him and made the money that way. Same thing with William Byron here. This is not a big case. It's William Byron and get him out of the 24 car. He's going to be just fine. But until things get better, I'm on the fade Byron train. Give me the worse than 9.5 this week. And I think the fact that this is even priced at 9.5 or that they've got this projection set at 9.5, that tells you everything you need to know, Rod, because William Byron should probably be on a road course style of track like a 4.5, 5.5 guy. They're already putting him down at 9.5 because they know there's something not right. I think I'm going to continue in on that and just take him worse than 9.5.
So, Cody watched me do this as we were going because I was in the dock just a second ago. I said I'm not a good salesperson, but I literally just sold myself on the other end of that because I just went on a tyrant raid about numbers backing up your thing and just saying, "Oh, this is a gut," and then I said, I can't do that."
I'm really glad that you changed this, Rod, because this is the one that I was actually going to argue with you on.
Yeah, well, now you can't argue with me because I changed my own tune on this one. Chris Buescher, his finishing position is set at 9.5. I initially wanted to go with the worst then because just as much as you think about Chris Buescher being good at various different tracks, his average finish this year is 13.8, right? Which is not kind of where you want him to be. And it's not better than 9.5, right? So you're like, but then I sat back and I said, Rod, you just got done telling everybody how the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie for Chris Buescher. I can't sit here and read you off finishes of 3rd at Sonoma, 8th at Coda, 7th at the Roval, 7th at Watkins Glen. He had a bad day at Indy Road Course. Okay. 4th at Sonoma, 8th at Coda, 6th at the Roval, 9th at the Watkins Glen. Another bad day. Another outside of the top 10 day, or just a top 10 day at Indy Road Course. He just doesn't like the Indy Road Course, but 6th at Road America, 2nd at Sonoma, 21st at Coda. Okay. But 3rd at the Roval. I mean, this is all single digit numbers short of 3 of those. So if 3 out of however many I read to you, 14, 3 of 14 races have all been inside of the top 8, even top 9, even, then this number is going to hit, right? 3 out of 14 for better than 9.5 for Chris Buescher. He's been kind of up and down this season, right? The finishes have been fairly inconsistent, but one place he's not inconsistent on is left and right turns. Therefore, this is a left and right turn course. So I'm going to go ahead and give the edge here to Chris Buescher. I talked myself into a better than 9.5, because at the end of the day, if I'm screaming to you that numbers don't lie, I can't sit there and go, yeah, all these numbers say that he's going to finish better than, but I think he's not going to finish better than. And in fact, if you look at Chicago last year, a 10th place finish for him in a topsy-turvy race in which he started 15th. Give me Chris Buescher better than 9.5. Book it.
I like it. I actually had an article come out today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com with some bonus bets for the Cup Series. Found a way to get in on Chris Buescher that I really liked. So I'll let that speak for itself. But yeah, I completely agree on this. I was going to argue with you when you were going to give the worst then. So glad you changed your tune before I had to do it for you, Rod.
You are the better salesperson. That is true.
My final play here is, again, just fading somebody that things could not get much worse for at this point in time. That's Kyle Busch at worse than 11.5. Look, he was fast here last year. He looked good. He's can be decent on the road courses at times. But Rod, it's been brutal. Like, man, it's been so rough. And the thing that sucks is they've shown speed. And I heard somebody talking about, oh, they fire Andy Petrie and then they were fast last week at Nashville. Like, yeah, but they were fast elsewhere too. They were fast at Iowa. They were fast at Gateway. They were fast at all these other places before they fired Petrie. But the results are not there. So Kyle Busch is at 11.5, Rod. Let's go through his results. 27th at Nashville, 35th at New Hampshire, 35th at Iowa. Stop me when I get to somewhere where he finished better than 11.5. 12th at Sonoma road course, 35th at Gateway, 15th at Charlotte, 27th at Darlington, 8th at Kansas. Okay, here we go. We found it. 8th at Kansas, 4th at Dover. So there was some decent finishes back then, but we went back a long ways before we had anywhere where Kyle Busch was finishing better than 11.5. And it's getting to the point where the broadcast is bringing it up, and they're like, this guy just can't catch a break. And all same with Austin Dillon, his teammate. Like, RCR is just cursed or something at this point. I don't know what the deal is. Again, we had a bet last week where it was against Busch, and I said, I'll be rooting for the other side of this, but I'm going to bet this way. And this is the same thing on this fantasy projection is I'm going to be rooting for the other side. I hope Kyle Busch has a good day. I want to see Kyle Busch be successful. I hate seeing him be where he's at right now. But until I see something else, Rod, we're going to keep going on the worst end side. So give me the clean sweep on worst ends. Kyle Busch worse than 11.5.
Yeah, for Kyle Busch, again, like I said, it's just how do you continue to motivate yourself to wake up and do it when you know that you could walk away and still be one of the greatest ones to ever do it and watch your son continue to go? I don't know. Kyle's going to have a beer with me, and we're going to have to talk it through, because I want to know. I want to know what's in that guy's brain. Again, I'm not over here just beating drivers down just to beat drivers down. I'd love to have a beer and chat it out with people, because I love people. So, yeah, but for now, I think you got to take the worst then on that one. Call it jet lag, Cody, but I flip-flopped on both of these last two ones because I just feel like my initial take was bad, and I'm not above taking the other side of it if I feel like I've done wrong. So I've done wrong, Christopher Bell. You're going to say, oh, that means he's going to take better than his finish. No, I done wrong because I picked the wrong side of this. 6.5 is his finishing position. I initially said better because when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, Christopher Bell's been on kind of a decent tear lately, right? He won at Charlotte. He won at Loudon. And he had that 4th place finish at Iowa. But those are the only 3 that he's had in the last few weeks that have been better than this. Darlington was a 13th. Nashville was a 36th. Sonoma, he had a 9th place finish, which of course is not a top 6 finish. And you go back through his road course history and you think of Christopher Bell being a pretty decent road course racer. And you're right. Top 10 finishes mean you are a decent road course racer, right? Like I said, that 9th place at Sonoma, not a top 6 finish. 2nd place at Coda was. 15th at the Roval in 2023 was not. Third place at Watkins Glen, it was, but a 9th place at the road course at Indy, a 9th place at Sonoma, 31st at Coda. Cardboard Gate won him the Roval, but 8th at Watkins Glen, 12th at the road course, 18th at Road America, 27th at Sonoma, stretching back to 2022. They have been decent finishes in there, right? There have been top 10 finishes, and in most cases, top 9 finishes, but not top 6 finishes across the board. So while he will be good on this track in particular, I don't think that he's going to be a top 6 good. And in fact, last year, he led 37 laps of this race, right? At starting 4th, he looked like he could be one of the winners, even late, but he ended up finishing 18th in this race, which was a little more of a race than was the Xfinity race. But yeah, I mean, Christopher Bell had the opportunity to try to come through with a good finish and didn't get it done here on this course. So like I said, I think if we talk about the Larsons, if you want to talk about Gibbs in this one, that's fine. But the Allmendingers and all these guys that are going to be up in the top 6 or 7, I don't know that Christopher Bell fits in that at the end of the race. Maybe at the beginning, but maybe not at the end, especially as you see, these 9th place finishes and these 7th place finishes. Only a couple of them have been inside of the top 6. And I think that number was set well. That finishing position was set well. So give me Christopher Bell worse than 6.5.
Yeah, I don't have too much of an argument here. He's obviously one of the favorites coming into this. Should be good. 6.5 is a low number, especially with all the unknowns this weekend. So obviously I've leaned very heavily towards the worse than side of things. So no problem with taking a short number at worse than.
Yep, me too. Like I said, I was going to say better than, but again, the numbers do not lie, Rod. Don't go with the gut bet. Just go. Now watch, they're all going to come up out of it.
Well, and he's got a lot of that Larson streak in him where, yes, he should be good every week. Had the fastest car 3 or 4 of the last couple of races, and he won one of them. But not great finishes. I mean, last week in Nashville, probably the best car in the field, and kind of fucked it up himself, a lot like Larson does. So one of those guys that you can't necessarily always trust. So I don't hate it for that reason alone.
Yep. And of course, with pick 8, if you miss that one, and if you miss the Busher one, then you're still winning your entry. So no harm, no foul. All right. Speaking of them, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over these picks for our underdog plays. Cody started you out in the Xfinity race with Joey Logano, worse than 8.5. I said Chandler Smith would finish better than 11.5. Cody said Sam Mayer would finish better than 6.5. I said Parker Kligerman would finish better than 9.5. Cody said that Austin Hill would be better than 9.5. I said AJ Allmendinger would be better than 5.5. Over on the Cup side, Cody said Martin Truex Jr. would be worse than 8.5. I said Daniel Suarez would be worse than 10.5. Cody said that William Byron would be worse than 9.5. I said Chris Buescher would be better than 9.5. Cody said that Kyle Busch would be worse than 11.5. And I said Christopher Bell would be worse than 6.5 for these NASCAR Chicago street course. I was going to say super speedway because everybody wants to be a super speedway. For this.
Nashville tried real hard last week, Rod. So watch out. Chicago might do the same.
Yeah. I mean, we could be in for it too. Speeds of 135 miles an hour.
Yeah. And same thing on these underdog entries and the fantasy stuff this week. Like, play it easy, go easy on this. We just, we're trying to figure it out, but we don't know what to expect. We don't know what we're going to get. So yeah, that's my word of advice for the weekend. Again, have a safe weekend as you continue to celebrate Independence Day. And I think that's about it, Rob.
I'm going to go back out. Hopefully I'm going to make it out. The family's watching Independence Day right now. Hopefully I get back before his speech. Love me some Bill Pullman speech. Side note, I was in a movie with Bill Pullman. I know it's Friday. Just give us a second. I was in a movie with Bill Pullman called Bottle Shock. And we were on set one day and we're talking between takes. And I was telling him about, I loved you in Independence Day. I said, easily one of my top 10 favorite motivational speeches when it comes to, motivation speeches. And he looks deadpan at me. He goes, so what are the other 5 or what are the other 10? And I was like, oh,
I didn't know you were going to get put on the spot by Bill Pullman.
Ow. And I was like, oh, and so I started rattling off a couple of them and he just smiled and he was like, and I was like, yeah, that's lovely guy. Right. I love him to death.
Awesome.
First day on set, he comes out and busts out to us and says, "Oh, everybody loves to be here, right?" By the end of the day, he was calling us all by name. Like after the 2.5 weeks we were on set, he was just personally shaking our hands, saying goodbye. Thanks for working with me. I was like, dude, this guy's class act. So
hell yeah.
if you ever meet Bill Pullman, you're going to love what you
do. And if you can find Rod's clips of all the movies he's in, he is a movie star. So make sure you look for them because they're great.
It's just something I did. It was a past me. Now I'm fully committed to this bit. So, all right, Cody, let's send everybody off this weekend on a high note. Tell everybody they can find you on social media.
Yeah, follow me over on the X Rod at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. There's a lot of it, so we'll just leave it at that. You can find it all over there. Follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Give us a like over on the old Facebook as well, NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Have a good weekend. Enjoy Chicago. Hopefully we'll get some good racing out of the street course. And back next week for Pocono.
Indeed, back next week for the Tricky Triangle. We'll see you on Sunday and or Monday for the recap episode of this. In the meantime, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on there. I've been kind of quiet lately. I've been trying to enjoy life. I know social media is an extension of life, but I want tangible stuff. Plus, I've been out of the loop for the last couple of weeks, so maybe I'll get back active on it again. In the meantime, we'll see you then. See you next week for the recap, and enjoy the weekend of racing. Let's go racing and let it ride.